over to Hugo. Yes, go ahead. Your choice. Do you want to do the prize giving for that one or the next one? I think I'll do the next one. I'm all kitted up down here, so I'm ready to go. Yeah, that's fine. We'll do this one then.
I wasn't aware.
Aston Blake, who is already propelling the Porsche up towards Redgate Corner, and as they head through the right-hander, Aston Blake is going to grab the lead of the race. Mark Chilton, can he slot himself through into second place at the wheel of the Nissan Skyline? He's having a good go, but doesn't quite manage to make it so. It looks as though it's still going to be the BMW of Matthew Irons, I think, that hung on to second place there.
On the garage earlier on, so I'm not sure if that car is actually out there or not.
It is not showing on the timing screen, no, so I think it's... And off and onto the gravel trap. Thankfully, four-wheel drive drags himself back out. Mark Chilton at the wheel of the Nissan Skyline. He's not the only one that's heading into the gravel down there at the old hairpin, because there was another Porsche about to exit stage left as well and into the gravel trap. I think that might have been Brett Evans, possibly, who also looked as though he was heading off the circuit. But for Mark Chilton, that was a scary moment there, where the car just sort of snapped away from him and he then almost understeered into the gravel trap. Brett Evans is also at the wheel of the number 5 Porsche now, just recovering after his grassy and gravelly and muddy moment, but again he rather got away with it down there at the old hairpin, which again is catching people out in this race. So it's the lowest part of the circuit, so it's where all the water ends up running down to, and there's a puddle right on the apex of the corner, and of course there's also rivers that will run from one side across to the other as well, so it really is. cars coming into the pit before the pit window opens. So there are still problems for the Trevor Taylor number 66 Mazda RX-7 that should have started from pole. It heads down the pit road, and it's not the only car to be doing that, because Louise Kennedy is bringing the second of the two Nissan Skyline GTRs that we've got in the field into the pit lane as well. So problems for those two very early on in the race. Such a shame. As he continues on his merry way, there's another car with issues out on circuit. That's the number 86 Triumph Dolomite Sprint of Colin Claxton. Now, that looked as though that was on the run out of Starkey's Bridge and up towards Swans Curve, which was where he had the wiggly moment a lap or so ago. The car was off on the right-hand side of the circuit. It's now continued, so I suspect, again, he hit the same bit of standing water, which caused him to have a little bit of a wiggle a couple of laps ago.
Triumph Dolomite number 300. That car was pushed in at the out of the assembly area back into the garage, but that car has now rejoined.
Thanks a lot, Dave. Yeah, almost into the gravel up at Redgate corner. That time through goes the Mazda MX-5. That was Jonathan Mitchell at the wheel of his Mark 1 that was almost caught out. Number 16 car, which is going to be Paul Dolan, fighting away. There is a rotating BMW heading out of Coppice corner, and that was the E30 that had a rotation there. And I think that was probably the Matthew Molyneux Stephen Gilby shared car again, which again is another car where we weren't notified of the starting driver. So some of the cars really struggling, even at the parts of the circuit where there isn't a great deal of standing water. It's just so slippy. You really have to feed the throttle in and short shift as well. The pit window will be opening very shortly. That's only 30 seconds away from opening up here, side by side up towards Redgate corner. That will be Paul Dolan's BMW fighting away with the John Hammersley Adam Brown shared Vauxhall Astra, which for again is another one of the cars where we don't have a starting driver. And now into the gravel trap we have lost a car. That is Richard Baston's 944 Series 2 that's had an off, I'm afraid, and that looks as though it's going nowhere again. It looks as though it's down at the old hair. So that car is heading for its mandatory pit stop. We still hasn't as yet though seen our race leader Aston Blake head into the pit lane. Now remember, it needs ideally a 90-second advantage so that it can hang on to the lead of the race. But of course, if it's going quicker in Dad's hands, Tony Blake's hands in part 2, then you could argue 45 seconds for the first half of the race, 45 seconds for the second half of the race. There's the 90, and there you go. So we'll wait and see as to seconds when they entered the pit lane, but they didn't go past the pit closed board, so we'll wait and see as to whether they get away with that one or not. So 14 minutes of the race still to go. Number 93, Tom Brenton, in danger of heading into the gravel trap up at Redgate corner. He's trying to work his way through the traffic. Remember that Ford Sierra XR8 have been doing great things, carving its way up through the order. He's keeping the power down, trying to drag the Ford Sierra XR8 through the gravel. I think he's got enough momentum to probably get away with that, actually, and that was because he was really pushing hard, fighting away with Jake Severs and the Peter Sloane Porsche for what ultimately will be the lead of the race in reality. And at the moment it is Jake Severs at the wheel of the number 37 BMW, I think, that will pick up the lead of the race, because the BMW we were awaiting to come into the pit lane did come in, almost thrown the car out of the race up there at Redgate corner, but he just had enough momentum to keep things going in towards the braking area for the chicane. That's going to be another car that's going to have to shortcut the chicane. That's number 46 Graham Barr at the wheel of his BMW, another car that was disqualified after qualifying and had to start off.
The car is being shut down.
Yeah, I saw the sign that you never want to see, and that's the hand across the throat from the mechanic there. So that's going to be it, isn't it? So
it's either damage underneath or something leaking, I would think. I wonder if Adam's been off somewhere. We'll have a word with him in a moment, hopefully.
I think it's probably easier to count those that haven't been off, isn't it? Because
yes.
And when John Hammersley, who has got 30 years of motorsport experience, is saying he's never known it so slippy, then it just goes to show it is pretty treacherous out there. It's a mixture of the amount of water, Dave, but also such a cold ambient temperature, isn't it, today? At full distance, we could see that Porsche goes up through the order, and there's a big mistake there for one of the cars he was trying to hunt down as well. Peter Sloane rotates the number 47 Porsche through the best part of 360 degrees and a bit more, pointing in the wrong direction, and having just dropped from second to third by the time that Porsche's even, such as the pace that the number 1 Porsche 911 RSR has had, whether it be in the hands of Aston Blake or Tony Blake, they're not going to make up 17 seconds over Jake Severs unless Jake makes a mistake. But in these conditions, it's very easy to do so, because we've just had another car head into the gravel trap, and again it looks as though it's down at the old hairpin. That was the number 169 Porsche of Adam Dawson that's had an off. It's now showing that there are just 15 seconds to go, so looks as though Matthew Irons and Jake Severs are going to be on for a win here in the Advantage Motorsport Future Classics. We've still got some cars making mistakes though, and that's the Ford Capri yet again, almost into the gravel and staying there. Robin Benny just as the car slid sideways up at Coppice Corner, had enough 4th, 5th and 6th place, which heads on to its final lap. But heading up towards the final corner now comes the number 37 BMW. Matthew Irons started the race, Jake Severs took over, and the number 37 BMW will come through and claim a win in the Advantage Motorsports Future Classics. Race 2 here at Donington Park. They come through to claim the win. 23 laps completed in the end for them, and the lead margin, we'll have to wait and see as to what it will be, because it's going to be the Aston Blake started, Tony Blake driven towards a checkered flag, number 1 Porsche 911 RSR that finishes in 2nd place. Remember, it stopped for 90 seconds longer, but was only 20 seconds adrift in the end, so it was a good run from them, which was always going to be a tough call, really, to try and make up that 90 seconds that they had lost. 3rd is going to go the way of the number 74 Porsche. Up towards the checkered flag now will come the number 74 Porsche, which is James Dingle to start with. Will Dingle bring it towards the checkered flag.
Good stuff. Congratulations, Jake Severs and Grandad Matthew Irons. I think you've got the biggest smile in England right now.
Yeah, that's about right. He's fantastic. Love it. Love every minute of it. Been good fun.
I can't remember in the past Grandad and grandson sharing an outright win. That's... We'll our race win celebrate then. We'll have a word with 2nd place, the Project RSR number 1 of Tony and Aston Blake. Here he is. Tony just joined us in time. Aston, good early pace, as we said earlier. You built up the advantage and almost able to overcome the success penalty.
Yeah, it's never enough, unfortunately. I just thought we'd got to get out of the box early and get some quick laps in and bridge a gap, and then we weren't expecting to probably be this far out the grid after a 90-second penalty, so to come 2nd overall is really good, so we're at the moon with it.
Let's have a word with Tony now. He's joined us as well. How was that for you out there?
It was absolutely superb. I have to say, the car is phenomenal, and who would want to drive anything other than a Porsche, to be honest? It's just fantastic in the wet. Lots of cars out there, Porsches, the guys behind us as well, fantastic. The car was brilliant. Visibility was a bit of an issue, but lots of water down, but it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
And a brilliant season for you for the 2nd year running as well, the number 1 on the car.
Yeah, well, it'd be nice to retain that if we could, but who knows. So it's been a great season for us. This is our 5th full season in the car, and it's just never let us down. It's been fantastic.
Great stuff, Tony and Aston Blake. So we've had Grandad and grandson. We've had father and son in 2nd place, and what position are the 2 Dingles then?
Brother and brother.
So 2 brothers out there. James Dingle, tell us about your race there, because it was quite a battle for 2nd and 3rd in the early stages.
I mean, yeah, it was really hard work on the track. It was just about mainly just keeping it on the track, really. The minute you touch the grass, it was game over for a lot of people, really. So it was just about consistent laps, and that's where I ended out.
Is that your first podium in the series, may I ask?
It is, yeah, it is our first one, yeah.
Brilliant. Let's have a word with Will and see how... Right, so we found Will Dingle, and any visibility issues for you out there? It certainly looked like it.
Plenty. Getting past the slower cars, having faster cars behind you was really difficult, but great race, really fun.
You certainly seem to have enjoyed it, both of you.
Yeah, it was really good. Car really good in the wet, so we stood a chance. Good tyres, good setup.
First ever podium for the family, maybe first win next season? He hopes so. So certainly a family affair, that race. Grandad and grandson the winners, father and son 2nd, and 2 brothers in 3rd in Future 6.